Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Digital Yogi Podcast. If you don't know me, I am Charlotte Reynolds. I'm a digital strategy and ads coach. And this episode is special because it is the first time I've recorded an episode of the podcast live in real life with my guest by my side, and where we've recorded videos. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hello. If you are listening via the usual channels, hello as well. This episode, I'm going to be speaking with Erin Dusek. Now, before we get into that, I just want to fill you in on my availability for one-to-one coaching. I'm currently fully booked with clients. I'm at full capacity with my one-to-one clients. However, there will be availability to work with me beginning in December or January. I work with yoga teachers, coaches, healers, content creators in the wellness space, and I help them to make sales. I help them to get more clients in a consistent and sustainable way. So if this sounds like you want support with your ads, your funnels, your sales, and your marketing strategy, then feel free to drop into my DMs. The link to my Instagram is below. So this is my first YouTube video recording. Please do hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Same goes if you're listening on Spotify. Click to follow me. Make me feel really good about all the work that this took. In this episode, I am joined by my friend Erin Dusek. We actually met on our yoga teacher training 5 years ago in India, pretty much to the day. And in this episode, she is fresh off of her first ever yoga retreat that she held here in Ibiza. After years of wanting to host a retreat, she eventually puts it out there, only to find that just one person signed up. She talks about how she overcame this. She speaks about her lack of self-belief and how it holds her back in her business. As I know a lot of you guys really struggle with fear of judgment, lack of confidence, and this is a really good episode if that's you, if you feel like there's things that you really, really want to achieve, but there's that fear there's that lack of self-belief. You're going to get loads of great tools and tricks from this episode. So enjoy. Please do let me know your feedback on this first ever live episode. It really was a labour of love. Enjoy.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So tell me why you're in Ibiza, what are you here for?
So I've just recently done my first retreat in person with the gratitude retreat in a lovely villa in San Augustine. And I'm just having a few days afterwards to reflect and rest and decompress, because obviously it's quite a lot of energy that you give in. So I knew I'd need like 5 days. Maybe I didn't need that much, but I was like, I want to stay in Ibiza.
Yeah, and you're in Ibiza quite a lot actually, which is really great for me because we get to hang out.
I know.
How come what is with Ibiza? Why are you here so often?
I love it. And each time I come back, I love it more and more. But I've been coming here since I was a baby with my family, and then my cousin moved here, so I was frequently visiting him just after lockdown and spending long periods of time. And then I just realised every time I came here, I felt like it was healing me. And then I was just drawn to keep coming back. And then I've had now a reason to come back. So I've come back to look at the villa that I'm using, and then obviously come back and do my retreat. And I've been looking at some villas whilst I've been here. So it feels like I have a bit more of a purpose here now.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it this morning. Like, I feel more and more like I've wanted to move here for a very long time, but I've had a lot of fear. And I'm finally being shown opportunities or things that can happen for me every time I come here.
Yeah.
More and more, I make more and more contacts, more and more things like this come up, and I think, okay, maybe it is possible for me to make a life here. So I think that's where I'm heading towards. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that will say Ibiza doesn't need any more yoga teachers. However, there's space for everyone.
Yeah,
And
I'd like to think so.
yeah, I think that'd be awesome if you moved here. And you're already looking now at venues for your next retreat. So just tell us, the retreat you just did, that was your first solo retreat. How did it go?
The process, I mean, it all went exactly as it should have been, but I started planning it in January this year, so we're in October now, so it was about 9 months of work, And I'm going to say it was one of the most difficult processes ever, but I learnt so much, and I know it was supposed to go like that, so I would learn. But the actual week, like, couldn't have gone any better for me. Like, I don't want to say perfect, because I struggle a bit with perfectionism, but perfect in the way that it just flowed, and the energy was brilliant. Even when things like went slightly not to plan, it was exactly how it was supposed to be. And I feel like I had the intention of like creating a safe space to like facilitate healing for others, but it really, as a result, also healed me. I've had a bit of a dark year, or we're going deep already. I have had a bit of a difficult year, and I just feel like I'm coming out the other side. Everything feels lighter. So I feel like for me, this week has been more special than I ever could have hoped, in more ways than I could have imagined, you know? So, yeah, in short, it went really well. Thank you.
Yeah, because I remember when we were in India at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, you were quite unsure then whether doing a retreat was the right thing to do. Well, you kind of knew that it was the next thing for you, but there was a lot of like
fear
and sort of like hesitation about doing it.
Doubt, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I mean, I started this online retreat that I've been doing 2 years ago, and a lot of the basis of what we do is gratitude, but also sort of getting clear on what you want to bring into your life. And I'd written down, like, this beginning of 2021, that I wanted to hold my own retreat in Ibiza. So I've had 2 years of procrastination and fear. And then I was like, what are you doing? Like, just, you have to do it. Otherwise you're never going to do it. So I was having some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, for those who don't know, with my amazing friend Charlotte Habib. And because I was like, I'm just procrastinating over this thing, and I have so much fear, and I can't seem to get myself to actually do the thing, bring it into physical manifestation. I've got all these dreams, but I can't actually make it happen. So I started doing sessions with her, and we just like broke it down, and then I just started to do it. But I'm one of those people who like doesn't really think about it, even though 2 years I have. But when I actually did it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to book it, and I found a villa, and I'm just going to find a chef, and then I was like, shit, like, what am I doing? Like, I haven't really thought about this, and now it's happening, and I've put it out on Instagram, and I've put it on my website, and it's happening. So I realised then that I didn't know enough, and so then that's when the process started, and it was quite difficult and not how I thought it would be. I think maybe a lot of yoga teachers who want to do yoga retreats think, okay, I'll pick a venue in a beautiful place, I can put pictures of it up, I know I can teach, and people will come. And it's actually so much more than that. So then that's when I realised, okay, people aren't booking as quickly as I thought. I'm going to have to sort of learn a bit more about what I need to do, and it's not enough just to post on Instagram. So then I started doing this course, and then it started teaching me all about marketing and my niche, and it really made me get clear on actually, who do I want to come on my retreat? What is it I'm offering? And yeah, it sort of sent me into this process of learning, and as a result, I really believe that I attracted like the perfect client, because everyone on my retreat, I was like, oh, wow, I like kept tearing up, because I was like, I feel so lucky to have attracted these humans who are so aligned with me and really want what I'm offering. Like, my intention is their intention. So because of the struggle, basically, it allowed me to create something I don't think I would have created without the struggle. So I'm grateful for the struggle, even though I had so many sleepless nights. Like, how am I going to come up with money? How am I going to make people come? I'm going to have to give away free spots to influencers and just make it a marketing thing. And I didn't have to do that. It all worked out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and a retreat as well is like, it's a big jump from promoting classes or workshops. There's a lot more skin in the game. Like, you've had to put money up front, and you have to hit a certain number of people before you're in profit.
Yeah.
And I guess, was there a point where you thought, I'm in the shit here? Like, if I don't fill these spots, like, what am I going to do? Like, what's my plan of action going to be?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I remember sitting on the couch with my sister, and I was like, I'm going to have to cancel it. Like, because I had one person for a long period of time. I only had one person. I was like...
Oh, one person signed up.
One person signed up. One person signed up right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So then I was like...
You're like, yeah, this is easy.
I was like, oh, I'm on a roll. And then no one signed up for like 4 months.
Yeah.
So that period was really hard, because I thought, I'm in this now. Someone's booked, and they've booked their flights. So I have to show up for them. But then I was sat with my sister, and I was like, okay, but what about the 9 other spots? Like, no one's booking that. And, you know, like that kind of panic and that fear. But it's all in your imagination, because how do you know what's going to happen? Like, I didn't know that then another 9 people were going to book on, but I think I decided that I thought I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But you can't know. So then she was like, you need to just cancel it. And I was like,
no, that's not good advice.
I was like, no, I can't. I was like, I cannot cancel this.
Yeah.
Like, this is my dream, and I've been wanting to do it for so long. And if I cancel it, I'm giving up on myself. And then I'm so glad I didn't cancel it, because it was life changing for me, and I believe from the feedback I've had that for them too. So there was a point where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to raise this money. I don't know how I'm going to get people to come, but I'm not cancelling it. So it forced me to really go into my practices of like gratitude, because a lot of things that have happened in my life have come around because of my gratitude practice. Like, really magical things have happened, and like the manifestation I work with on my online retreat, I was doing those practices for myself, and affirming and visualizing and believing and taking the steps forward I needed to make it happen without the fear part. So I had to really work at sort of batting the fear away and getting myself out of that negative mindset, because survival comes in like, oh, you've got to raise £12,000. If I can't raise that money, I'm going to have to get a loan, and then I'm going to be in debt, and I'm not going to be able to eat, and I'm going to have to sell my car. Like, you know, like all that shit comes into your head, which is really dramatic, I know, but that survival thing kicks in, and then the fear tries to take over. So I really had to go like head first into my practices that keep me grounded and keep me positive and allow me to see more clearly and visualize what the positive outcome could be. So I believe that really, really helped as well, because when I started to do that, it was like magic, and then people started to come along with, you know, taking the action of what I was learning on my course. It just all came together.
I think it's really epic that you kind of saw that it might, you kind of thought, you know, actually this might not, nobody else might sign up, and you kind of went, I've got 2 choices. I can either cancel it and give up, or I can go the other way and go, right, okay, I'm just gonna go all in here and make this happen. Because often what can happen, especially when you're selling something, is you just kind of, it's easier, it's the comfort zone is just to retreat and hide away, and nobody wants it. I've not created the right offer here. Nobody, you know, nobody's interested in hearing me talk about this over and again, and you can kind of hide away. But you made a choice to go the other way and go all in. And actually sometimes that's a really good strategy that you mentioned. I don't know if you knew you were doing it, but when you're at that point of, my phone's going off, very professional. When you're at that point of like, there's that fear, actually sometimes going to the worst case scenario can be a really helpful thing. So, okay, what if only this one person signed up? Okay, well, what would I actually do in that situation? I would raise the money some other way, or I would change the offer or whatever like that. And then you kind of go, actually, I would have a plan if that did happen. So let's just carry on with it, because if the worst case scenario happened, it'll be fine. But the other way that it could turn out would be actually everybody does sign up. And it's a way of then like not giving up, because clearly the week you had was absolutely well worth all of those struggles and those moments of like, oh my God, like what have I done?
Yeah, I think it's taught me that no matter what happens, no matter the outcome, it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
So if I did have one person, and if I did have to give the spots away for free, and if I did have to raise money, then that's how it's supposed to be. And it would have served me to learn exactly what I needed to learn. And it perhaps would have shown me that I'm maybe not ready for this yet and I've got more work to do. So I think this whole experience has taught me to trust that it works out no matter what happens. Like even the way the week went, I feel like we were all living like that. Because I was very honest with them too. And it's funny because we bonded like immediately, like the group was like, and then suddenly it was like we were all really good friends and we could be very open with each other. And I kind of was honest about my journey once I got to know them. And I think it showed them that when you trust, everything works out. And the whole week was like that for everyone. Everyone kept going, yeah, but if we just let go and trust, it will work out. And it kept happening like the whole way through the week. Like, things might have not have gone to plan and the plan schedule changed and we're like, oh my God, thank God that happened because it's all worked out better. Or thank God I took the key and the chef couldn't get in because I had to go back and we were an hour late for our hike, but it meant that when we got to the top, we were right in time for the sunset. So it's just like, it all works out if you trust. But when you keep resisting, you like put blocks in your way and you try to control, and you might be stopping yourself from reaching something that is the best for you. So I think that message threaded through our week, and maybe that's why everyone felt like it was such a good experience for them, because we were just living in this high vibration and this place of trust the whole way through. Which is not a natural space, I think, for a lot of people to live, but I think it just allowed us to be like that week. So it's good.
Yeah, that's a really nice learning. I think that's definitely something I could do more of.
I think we all can. Yeah. It's hard though.
Well, we're so used to like always like driving to do better or get more, do more.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I was teaching too. And I think I can teach that because I've been like that my whole life. And I think of it as quite a masculine energy. Yeah. You know, driving, doing more, because I was a professional dancer. It's instilled in you from a child. Yeah. You need to work harder. If you want to be better, you need to push through. You know, when you're tired, you keep going. If you're injured, you get up and you carry on, because if you don't, if you're a working dancer, if you don't, you lose money. So it's instilled in me to drive and push. And now I'm 36. I know I'm not old, but as I get older, I just realise that energy doesn't serve you. It does to an extent, but there needs to be a balance between that and sitting back and creating space and openness to allow things to come to you and to allow things to flow, because otherwise you're just constantly trying to control and you're actually holding yourself back. You need to have that balance between masculine and feminine, the doing and the being, and the letting go is a really important thing for so many of us to do, for acceptance, for surrendering. That's all feminine energy, and that was another thing I was sort of threading through the week, and maybe that also helped people to feel like they could not try so hard. Yeah, because it's too much hard work all the time, like need to be better, and it's like actually makes it worse sometimes.
Would you say that when you mentioned that when you were selling the spaces on the retreat, you realised that there were some things that you had to do outside of, for example, just posting on Instagram, as well as kind of like the mindset change of like just allowing it to unfold how it was going to unfold? Were there any like more practical things that you did that kind of helped you get out there in front of the right people?
Yeah, so I think, and you obviously know all about this, and I think we had a session before where you were telling me about this, but because I've come from a professional dance background, I've never learnt this, but like that getting clear on your ideal client and also getting very clear on your niche and what is it that I'm offering that's different. So I was forced to really get clear on that. And then once I was clear on that, my messaging changed. Like at first I think I was like, join me for a yoga retreat, 7 days of yoga and meditation and breath work. You get these meals, you get to stay in a luxury villa. Okay, but everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
So what's different? So I had to be really clear on what my intention was and what I was going to offer and how that was unique to me. And then my messaging changed, my website, my posts. And then I was doing things like, obviously speaking about it in my classes at the end, but changing the way I was offering it. But also doing things like free breathwork sessions where people got a meaningful experience, because I wanted them to get a taste of what they would get on my retreat. It's not just a yoga class in the morning and the evening and a yoga holiday, which I know some people do and love, but I knew mine wasn't going to be that. So I wanted them to get a taste of the sort of transformation they could experience. And so I believe that those kind of practical tools can help you draw the right client in, because I didn't want people who just thought they could come and do yoga and then drink wine and go and party. Like, it wasn't that. It was like, we're all here together and we're moving through this experience together, and an experience of change and transformation. So I think I had to make that clear through my free offerings. Another thing I did, actually, I just remembered, I did a 7-day challenge as well of like meditations and journaling tasks, which was free for people to join, because it's important that you resonate with the person who you're going on a retreat with.
Did that work? Did people sign up having taken part?
So I had one girl, but we did a giveaway and she joined, but because she had done that, I brought the right person into my retreat rather than just giving it away to someone random. And also, I don't know that quite a lot of people signed up for that. I don't know that they're my potential clients for next time.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I was just trying to do things that I'd never done before in order to attract the right people, because I think before, I just wasn't clear. I wasn't clear at all. And
what would you say is the main thing that was like that made you stand out from the other retreats? You said that you were, listing all the obvious things. What was the other things that you kind of said were that you were kind of promising people that was slightly different and unique to you?
Well, I think because the gratitude retreat is the thing that I started 2 years ago, and the work that we do on that, even though a lot of people have a gratitude practice, like I'm heavily an advocate for gratitude, and not in the way of like, oh, thanks for opening the door for me.
Although, to be fair, I message you sometimes like, by the way, this thing just happened and I'm grateful for this. Like, it's quite an interesting habit. Would you call it like a habit, like a to get into?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say, I'm a really grateful person. And I'm like, okay, that's different to having an intentional gratitude practice where you're intentionally raising your vibration through actively looking for these things that you want to be grateful for, but also things that haven't happened yet, and you're saying you're grateful for them is one of the parts of manifestation and bringing things into your life. And I had an idea that, I know I've done it on my online retreat, but we're not together in person, but I had an idea that in a massive group or a bigger group, 10 people, when we're all doing that together, I just knew that we would create magic. And I know that sounds wanky, but I know what I've experienced through an intentional gratitude practice and the things that have happened in my life. And I was like, if we're doing that in a group of 10, that vibration and that frequency is going to breed, it's going to multiply when we're all together. And I just had this vision of us all being together, and it really happened. Like, if you could have felt the energy in that villa amongst that group of people, it was literally like we were floating on cloud 9. We weren't drinking, there was like nothing else involved. We were just like on this high vibration. So even though people have a gratitude practice, I believe the work I do and the way I thread gratitude into everything we do makes mine slightly more unique. And I know I've been on a lot of retreats, and I believe that was the thing that made the difference between the group. The energy of the group was the gratitude. And also, I think from speaking to them, it's so much about energy. And I had some energy exchanges through emails, just emails. And I knew that a certain person or people weren't right. And so I was kind of like, oh, I think maybe you should take another retreat because you've got an option of 2 and maybe this isn't right for you, because I just could feel the energy.
Yeah.
And that was the case with every single person who I brought onto my retreat. We had an exchange when I was asking them for their services, and I either knew or I didn't know through energy whether they were right, and it really served me. And I think that's what happened with each person who joined. They'd had some sort of energy exchange with me, whether it be in my class or whether it be on a free breathwork session, or they'd done a breathwork session with me at a festival, or just had sensed the energy. And I think that made all the difference.
Yeah.
Because the energy between us was what made the week so special. Anyone can teach yoga and meditation and breathwork. And
I meet a lot of people here who do run retreats, obviously, because a lot of retreats happen here. And sometimes I do hear from the retreat hosts that a retreat hasn't gone well. Most of the time, you know, everybody kind of comes away in some way thinking that there was a positive experience from retreat. But sometimes I hear from retreat hosts that actually it was a bit of a disaster. Like the dynamic wasn't right. People came like just completely, like you said, like the dynamic, and they just weren't quite right for it. I think that comes as well from, you know, possibly people being firstly just doing it as a way to make money and not really giving too much of a shit about the actual delivery, the output. But then also perhaps also being in a space like you were of, oh my gosh, I need to get bums on seats here. And rather than doing what you did and go, you know, it's very strong to go, okay, I do need people to come. Like, should I say yes to this person that I know is not right or not? And actually, I think probably in these other cases, they've done that. They've gone, well, it's a person. It doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll be fine. And actually, when you do, whether it's a retreat or if it's a coach running like who does like coaching sessions with clients, or a service provider offering a service, actually sometimes saying no to people, although it might feel like, oh, I'm trying to make money, it builds a lot of trust. And that person might not be right, but they might be right in a year's time. Or that person might say to somebody else, do you know what, that retreat host or coach or teacher said that it wasn't right for me, but actually it might be perfect for you. And they're going to absolutely believe in you and trust in you a lot more if you do that.
And you've got to think, like, is the money that person is going to bring worth the ag that I'm going to get?
If we're going to be blunt, like sometimes it's not worth the ag. You just know someone's going to be a nightmare.
It's going to affect the whole group. If that person's energy doesn't resonate with me, they're going to find other reasons to find problems on my retreat. Like my bed isn't right, or the food I don't like. If they are off with me, they'll find a reason, and that affects the whole group then. And it's also like, I'm letting that person find something that's right for them, and I'm also creating space for someone who's right for me to come in. I'm a big believer in letting go the things that don't serve you to create space for the things that do. And I just felt, I also trust your gut, because my gut was like, this exchange isn't what I would like it to be, and I don't want to then bring that into my retreat.
What about though if somebody was going to say, you know, that person probably needs the retreat more than anyone else? They're in need of a retreat.
You're right. It could all turn around, but there was other elements as well that I was like, I'm not going to accept your terms. There was like I want it to be like this and I want you to do this. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm offering. So this then doesn't work for you. I will next time. I learnt a lot, even though the week went amazingly well. There are a lot of things I would do differently. And I think next time maybe I'll get to know people before a bit better. So like, maybe do a bit of a questionnaire or a call with them just to check that they are right. Because I think I don't really believe in luck, because I believe I attracted these people through the work I was doing with visualization and getting clear on what it was that I wanted. I do think that maybe I don't want to say that, but maybe next time I wouldn't be so lucky. I don't want to think of it as luck, but I felt so lucky that I'd brought these people in. But maybe next time I'd be a bit more vigilant with, okay, do I want you on my retreat? Is your energy right for what I have to offer, rather than I need you to come because I need to make money? Like, it's a different energy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on
you.
having such a successful retreat. Like I said, I was watching along on social media, and the thing is, you can never tell. Like, you obviously want to be, you know, showing how good the retreat was now as marketing for the next one.
Yeah.
You know, the best time to sell something is when you're doing like the previous one.
Yeah.
It's hard to put that across on social media, but from what I was watching, it looked really cool, and I was really happy that you had like a full group of people and all the stuff you were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
On the topic of social media, should we talk about marketing and social media? Now,
your forte.
Well, to be fair, I was going to say, remember so Erin and I met on our yoga teacher training 5 years ago, pretty much to the day. And I remember before maybe we were put in a WhatsApp group or something, and I remember we were all going, there's a girl called Erin coming on the training. She's got like 10,000 Instagram followers. Like, nobody else had really used. Well, now, I guess it's like, you know, but for 25 people who have never used Instagram for business, didn't have any kind of personal brand, we were like, bloody hell, we've got like a celebrity, we've got an influencer on our training. Who's this Erin? So you kind of had a bit of a head start, a little bit, because you did have your background as a professional dancer. So you'd started to kind of use it as a channel to show what you were doing. How have you found Instagram marketing now 5 years on? Do you love it, hate it?
It's a love-hate relationship, because I know it can serve me, but I also don't really know what I'm doing. That's when someone like you comes in to help. But what I realised as well, that a lot of those followers came from my dance background, whether they be fans of artists I performed with or whatever. So it's hard, because like, even though I've got like 13,000 followers, they're not all there for the yoga. So then I think it's forced me to have to push my other Instagram, the gratitude retreat, which has like barely any followers on it. But I need to, it also helps me realise that those people are there for the thing that I'm selling, which is yoga.
Because I remember at one point you did actually start a yoga Instagram, because you were like, well, nobody's interested in, you know, I want to start afresh and I want to make sure it's all yoga content. But then I remember it was quite, because I was doing the teaching yoga teachers about using social media. I remember clearly when you were like, do you know what, I'm just going to go back to my original profile, because actually what makes me unique is the fact that I am a dancer and a yoga teacher. So, and also it's a lot of work having to.
Yeah, I know. I thought, well, my actual Instagram with more followers is me, and I am going to share about yoga, and I am going to share about my dance jobs that I'm still doing and the other stuff, and maybe you'll see my friends and my family, because also I think people buy into you. And if they just thought all I did was yoga and meditate, and as much as I love it, it's boring. Like, people want to get to know you as well. So I was like, okay, I'll thread it all together. But the gratitude retreat, that is specifically for that, because then you can sort of hone into the people who are mainly interested in that as well. So it felt like a head start, but also because I'm not very good at social media, I need to get better at it.
Are you not very good at that?
Is that not true?
Or I don't know, it's not very good NLP, is it? I'm not very good at social media.
I think maybe when I say I'm not good, let me just rephrase that.
You're like, I'm really enjoying learning more.
I find it difficult. I do. I find it a struggle, because I don't learn about it. I'm not knowledgeable about it like you. Like, did you have to do a course to learn what you what you teach?
Oh yeah. How did I do that? Well, I think the fundamentals of marketing were the same as when I was working in the corporate world, and I was marketing obviously like huge brands, but the principles are the same. It's about being strategic and kind of going, right, who am I trying to speak to? What do I need? What message do I need to get across? You know, what are my actual goals for using this? And then that just applies to then just doing it for yourself. I think that was the key thing. So I was mostly just teaching marketing fundamentals, strategy, and just applying it to the yoga space. But of course I had to learn on the job.
Yeah.
I think I probably was asking you as well, like, Erin.
Well, I definitely came to you as like, I don't understand this. But it does require a strategy, doesn't it? And that means you have to be organised and prepared. And what I've realised also during this retreat process is that I very much do things as I go.
Yeah, which is fine.
And I'm not so good at like I really planned exactly what I was going to teach only a few days before. Even though I had an idea, I knew I had to be in Ibiza, and I knew I had to be near the time of doing it to really like get into the energy of it as I went into my retreat. If I'd have done it 4 months before, I know things would have changed and I would have learned more, and I'd have to go back and change it. But to be good on social media, I think you have to be organised and you have to prepare content and you have to know what you're going to post for the next month. And that's why I find it hard, because I'm lastminute.com very much. But I also know it's the way I work best. Yeah. So it's contradictory.
I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I think it feels a lot more enjoyable to me and authentic if I'm just posting things that are actually happening at the time.
Yeah.
When I start to plan like a content calendar, like, I'm going to do this and do this. When I put it in the content calendar, it feels very like, okay, yeah, that's really cool. And then in like next Thursday's time, I look at it and go, what?
Doesn't feel relevant.
Like, that's not where my brain's at now.
Yeah. I think that's why it's difficult, and I think that's why sometimes social media really does come off as inauthentic, and that is a big thing for me, being authentic. And I think that's why I struggle with social media, because I do work with brands and I have to post for them. I only work with brands that I like when I use their products.
Yeah, because you're an ambassador for some yoga clothing brands and products.
Up clothing and New Zest. But you know, I have to post a specific amount of posts a month for them, and it has to be on the topic. And at times I don't want it to come across as inauthentic like it does when I see other people advertising stuff. Yeah. So for me that feels a bit icky. I want it to be organic, and I want to tell you like the struggles I've had, or like, because I feel like when you share that stuff, people learn. But like pretending that everything's fine, and you know, I do this every morning and I get up and I sit, and I like, doesn't happen every day. Like some days I wake up late and I don't have time to meditate and do my gratitude, and like that's real life. Yeah. So sometimes it feels inauthentic, and I struggle with that.
What would you say have been your biggest struggles so far as a business owner?
Self-belief. Because even like up until the week of my retreat, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I actually don't know what's going to happen. I don't think I had the belief in myself, and I know you have to have the belief before, but this week and what I created, I believe in myself now, because you don't know what you don't know, and now I know exactly what I can create, and the power of myself and my ideas and my just the offering I have. So self-belief has been a big struggle, and what people think of me as well, because I think especially with social media and stuff, you're putting yourself out there and it's like quite vulnerable, and you worry like, what if people think I'm this or take me the wrong way? But I think, I was going to swear then, am I allowed to swear?
Do what you want.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Like, if I'm my truthful self, then I bring the people who are right for me to me. If I'm pretending to be this person, then I'm attracting people who think I'm something, and then I can't uphold that. It's not sustainable. So then I think just be authentic and believe in yourself, because I realise now that I'm way more powerful than I thought. It's been a very healing experience for me, actually, as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fear of judgment is a massive one. Yeah. Especially if you are putting yourself out there as the face of your business, but also specifically when you are promoting something. You know, what are people going to think of me? Yeah. That I'm like, look desperate, or I've not got the numbers. People are going to think I'm not very good at what I do. Exactly. and it's like it's a real thing.
Yeah, I was like, every time I had to say, guys, I've got a few spaces left on my retreat at the end of my class, I thought, the people who've been coming back every week and have heard me say this for 6 months are probably thinking, why has she not sold her retreat out yet? Like, makes me not want to come. That was my...
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just stop worrying about what they think, because you might reach someone else who really needs this. Like, so you have to get out of your own way, and part of that is not caring what other people think. But it's hard. That's a really hard thing for me to do. I really do worry about what other people think. It's something I'm working on.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not alone with that. I mean, that's such a common way that we get in our own way, for sure. Do you feel like that's a work in progress, or is there anything that's helped you really overcome that to some extent?
It's definitely a work in progress, but I'm getting better, because I think maybe if I'd really, really let what other people think get in the way of this experience, I would have been gutted that I didn't get a chance to have that week that we've just had. Like, so I think it makes me realise just you have to just bat those thoughts out the way and just like go towards what serves you. That doesn't serve me, worrying about what other people think in any way.
And now you know that experience was challenging.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that it was so tough at times, it was super rewarding at the end of it.
Yeah, it was so worth it. And I think a lot of the fearful part of me thought, I should have collaborated with someone, because it would have taken the pressure off. Not because, I would love to work with this person.
What, like co-host with a teacher or?
Yeah, because you get people collaborating on a retreat, and it splits the pressure, but it also splits the profit and the reward for you. But I would have collaborated out of fear of like, takes the heat off me, not because, I want to collaborate. Like, I knew I had this thing that I wanted to create, and if I'd have collaborated with someone, I would have had to adapt to what they wanted to create, and the reward would not have been what it is for me. So the reward definitely worth the stress of doing it on my own.
Love that. Final question. What is one thing that you haven't achieved yet that you'd still like to achieve? Because, I don't know, you've done some pretty cool shit. Like, actually, what name like 3 career highlights, and then what's one thing that you'd love to still do?
Is that yoga or
Whatever.
anything? So I guess some of my best dance moments have been the tours I've done, and I still have, even though I'm 36, I do still dance, but there's one thing I've always wanted to do, and that's a world stadium tour. So maybe that.
So what the tours you did, like, take that, Spice Girls?
Yeah.
They weren't world, they were UK, weren't they?
They were UK. I did a UK, Europe and Australia tour with Robbie Williams, but not quite the world. So I've still got that that's my last tick for a dancer, and then I think I can hang up my dance shoes. Another one is a personal one, I guess. I would like to move to Ibiza, but there's a lot of fear stopping that. So creating a business plan that allows me to be more remote, or work here, because right now I'm quite tied to London with my work. And the third one, I don't know actually, because I almost feel a bit like, when you've sort of done the thing you've been wanting to do for so long, you're like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe a work in progress. I need to think about where I want to go next, because I want to do more retreats, but that's kind of more of the same what I've done. I think maybe build up my online presence a bit more with my membership, maybe to get me to a place where I can move to Ibiza. I don't know.
Thanks very much, Erin, for
Thank you
being
for
my
having
very
me.
first in-person guinea pig.
Let's hope that this actually gets out to the world.
If you're listening to this and watching this, it's a miracle. It means that everything has worked correctly. It looks like it's working. So
Fingers crossed.
Congrats
Hopefully
to
it's
all
not
of
just
us.
miming. No sound. No, I'm going to say it's worked. Think positively.
Okay, bye.
But thank you. Bye.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode. For any information about me or my guests, check the notes. Any thoughts, questions, ideas, feedback, feel free to slip into my DMs on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you.